Hello and welcome back to the show. Today we're taking a close look at Yes Bank Limited's latest financial performance. Yes Bank, a major private sector bank in India, has certainly been in the headlines over the past few years following its reconstruction scheme.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to track their progress since that reconstruction. They've got this whole suite of banking services, everything from corporate and retail to SME banking and treasury operations. Oh, and don't forget their key subsidiary, Yes Securities India Limited, or YSIL as industry folks call it, which handles all their brokerage and investment banking stuff.
Right. Let's dive into those results, shall we? They've just released their audited financial results for the quarter and full year ended March 31, 2025. The board approved these on April 19, 2025. I think we should look at both the standalone results for just the bank itself and the consolidated ones that include the subsidiary too.
Good call. You really need both views to get the complete picture, see how the core banking business is doing, plus how the whole group is performing overall.
So starting with the bank's standalone performance, what are those headline numbers looking like for the fourth quarter and the full financial year 25?
Okay, so for Q4 FY25 on a standalone basis, interest earned came in at 7,616.13 crore rupees, which is a nice little bump from 7,447.17 crore rupees in Q4 last year. Other income hit 1,739.26 crore rupees, up from 1,568.60 crore rupees year over year. Total income reached 9,355.39 crore rupees for the quarter, compared to 9,015.77 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. On the expense side, interest expended was 5,339.77 crore rupees, just slightly higher than the 5,294.15 crore rupees last year. Operating expenses actually came down a bit to 2,701.24 crore rupees from 2,819.15 crore rupees.
How's that affecting the bottom line?
Well, that gives them an operating profit before provisions of 1,314.38 crore rupees, a really nice jump from 902.47 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. Provisions were lower too at 318.07 crore rupees compared to 470.86 crore rupees last year. So their profit before tax stood at 996.31 crore rupees. That's more than double the 431.61 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. And their profit after tax was 738.12 crore rupees for the quarter, significantly up from 451.89 crore rupees same quarter last year.
Wow, that Q4 PAT jump is impressive. How about the full year standalone picture?
For the full financial year 25, on standalone basis, the numbers are even more interesting. Interest earned rose to 30,894.91 crore rupees from 27,585.94 crore rupees in FY24. Other income increased to 5,856.86 crore rupees from 5,114.30 crore rupees. Total income for the year hit 36,751.77 crore rupees, up from 32,700.24 crore rupees. Interest expended increased to 21,950.56 crore rupees from 19,491.32 crore rupees. Operating expenses were 10,547.26 crore rupees, up from 9,822.66 crore rupees.
And the profitability metrics?
The full year operating profit was 4,253.95 crore rupees compared to 3,386.26 crore rupees in FY24. Provisions were significantly lower at 1,085.61 crore rupees versus 1,886.28 crore rupees last year. PBT came in at 3,168.34 crore rupees, more than double the 1,499.98 crore rupees in FY24. And PAT for the full year was 2,405.86 crore rupees, a very strong 92% increase from 1,251.08 crore rupees in FY24.
That's a substantial profit jump. Seems like it's driven by higher income and lower provisions. Now, how do the consolidated numbers compare for Q4 and the full year?
The subsidiaries' impact isn't huge, but there are some differences. Consolidated Q4 for PET was 744.58 crore rupees, slightly higher than the standalone 738.12 crore rupees and up significantly from 467.29 crore rupees in Q4 FY24. For the full year, consolidated PAT came in at 2,446.49 crore rupees, again slightly higher than the standalone figure, showing a strong 90% increase from 1,285.20 crore rupees in FY24. The overall trends, income growth and lower provisions driving strong PAT growth, hold true for both pictures.
What about earnings per share? That's typically based on consolidated numbers, right?
Exactly. The consolidated basic EPS for the full year FY25 stood at 0.79 rupees, up from 0.45 rupees for FY24. The diluted EPS was 0.78 rupees versus 0.44 rupees. So we are seeing a healthy improvement there, reflecting those higher profits we talked about.
You mentioned other income earlier. What's the breakdown there? Anything unusual?
It's pretty standard bank stuff. A mix of fee-based income from services like guarantees and advisory, foreign exchange transactions, and treasury gains. Nothing really unusual flagged in Note 8, but it's definitely contributing nicely to their overall income.
Let's talk profitability. With that significant PAT growth, how are the margins looking?
Good question. Looking at the standalone net profit margin, that's PAT, divided by total income. For the full year, FY25, it's around 6.55%. That's 2,405.86 crore rupees PAT on 36,751.77 crore rupees total income. That's a notable improvement from about 3.83% in FY24. The consolidated margin is very similar at around 6.6%. The operating profit margin before provisions also improved year over year, suggesting better operational efficiency or favorable interest rate movements alongside that income growth.
For banks, asset quality is always key. What's happening with their non-performing assets?
That's definitely a positive part of their story this year. On a standalone basis, which is the same as consolidated in this report, their gross NPA percentage stood at 1.6% as of March 31st, 2025, slightly down from 1.7% a year ago. Net NPA percentage showed significant improvement, down to 0.3% from 0.6% a year ago. In absolute terms, gross NPAs were 3,935.61 crore rupees and net NPAs were substantially lower at 800.14 crore rupees. That reduction in net NPAs is quite encouraging and explains the lower provisioning we saw earlier.
That sharp drop in net NPAs is definitely positive. Were there any exceptional items reported this year?
No exceptional items in the financial results for FY25, either standalone or consolidated. This gives us a cleaner view of their underlying performance. But it's worth noting that the 81 bonds write-down from March 2020 is still under litigation before the Supreme Court. Next hearing is scheduled for July 2025. The bank maintains no material financial impact is expected, but it remains an overhang until we get that final verdict.
Interesting. Let's shift to the balance sheet. Any major changes in deposits, advances, net worth, or capital adequacy?
Looking at the standalone statement of assets and liabilities as of March 31st, 2025, deposits grew healthily to 2,84,525.13 crore rupees, up from 2,66,372.17 crore rupees last year. Advances also increased to 2,46,188.47 crore rupees from 2,27,799.47 crore rupees. Net worth strengthened significantly to 47,780.05 crore rupees from 42,145.39 crore rupees. This was boosted by the profits and also the conversion of share warrants during the year, which brought in substantial capital. Capital adequacy ratio under Basel III stood at 15.6%, comfortably above regulatory requirements, though slightly down from 15.4% last year, likely due to asset growth. And their debt-equity ratio improved, coming down to 0.72 from 1.14 last year, indicating lower leverage. The consolidated picture is very similar, with just marginally higher numbers due to the subsidiary.
How about cash flows? What did the standalone cash flow statement show?
The standalone cash flow for FY25 looks pretty good. Net cash generated from operating activities was strong at 6,061.77 crore rupees, significantly helped by the increase in deposits, though partly offset by the increase in advances. Net cash generated from investing activities was 8,537.50 crore rupees. This came primarily from a net decrease in their held-to-maturity securities portfolio, which far outweighed their purchase of fixed assets and equity investment in YSIL. Net cash used in financing activities was 5,456.26 crore rupees. The major outflow was repayment of borrowings, partially offset by proceeds from the issue of share capital, mainly from that warrant conversion we mentioned. Overall, their cash and cash equivalents increased by 9,129.39 crore rupees during the year.
What about performance by business segments? The report lists treasury, corporate banking, retail banking, and other banking operations, right?
Yes, and the standalone and consolidated segment results are almost identical. For FY25, Treasury reported segment revenue of 7,597.29 crore rupees and a profit before tax of 2,292.44 crore rupees. Revenue was flat, but PBT almost doubled from last year's 1,362.84 crore rupees. Corporate banking saw segment revenue rise to 12,285.76 crore rupees from 10,170.95 crore rupees. PBT more than doubled to 2,791 crore rupees from 1,377.99 crore rupees last year. This segment holds significant assets, around 1,23,681.61 crore rupees. Retail banking is actually their largest segment by revenue at 15,090.67 crore rupees, up from 14,153.29 crore rupees. However, it reported a loss before tax of 2,140.50 crore rupees, although this loss narrowed from last year's 972.57 crore rupees loss. It also holds the largest chunk of assets at around 1,29,135.25 crore rupees. Their digital banking subsegment within retail is still very small in terms of financials. Other banking operations had revenue of 1,003.96 crore rupees and PBT improved to 734.18 crore rupees from 584.54 crore rupees. So treasury and corporate banking were the clear profit drivers, offsetting that loss in the retail segment.
Interesting that retail, despite being the largest revenue segment, is still posting a loss. So how would you summarize the overall performance for FY25?
Yes Bank has really delivered a strong turnaround in profitability for FY25. Both standalone and consolidated PAT saw impressive growth of around 90% year-over-year. This was driven by healthy net interest income growth, decent other income, and significantly lower provisions, thanks to that improved asset quality, particularly the sharp reduction in net NPAs we discussed. Their capital position has strengthened with the warrant conversion and CAR remains comfortable. The real profit drivers were treasury and corporate banking segments.
Were there any other significant notes or events mentioned in the detailed disclosures?
A few points worth mentioning. They implemented the new RBI Master Directions on Investment Classification from April 1, 2024, which resulted in a net transition gain of 125 crore rupees credited to General Reserve. As we mentioned, significant capital came in from warrant conversions during Q1 FY25, and they had some ESOP allotments during the year too. They transferred some non-performing assets, mostly written-off retail and credit card loans, to asset reconstruction companies during the year for a small consideration of 28 crore rupees. They confirmed full utilization of proceeds from non-convertible debt securities and green infra bonds. Importantly, they stated no outstanding secured listed NCDs as of March 31, 2025. There were extensive disclosures on related party transactions, including a large volume of treasury transactions with State Bank of India, 9,123.33 crore rupees executed via CCIL platform, significant deposits held by related parties, and services exchanged with YSIL. Interestingly, YSIL ceased being a wholly owned subsidiary in October 2024.
What did the auditors say? Any qualifications or concerns in their reports?
That's actually a key positive for them. Their joint statutory auditors, GM Kapadia and Company, and C&K and Associates LLP, issued an unmodified opinion on both the standalone and consolidated financial results. This means they believe the financial statements give a true and fair view and are free from material misstatement. They did note that the previous year's results were audited by a slightly different pair of firms, GM Kapadia and Company and Chokshi LLP. Getting a clean, unmodified opinion is a significant milestone, especially considering the bank's recent history.
That unmodified opinion is definitely reassuring. So what's the outlook for Yes Bank based on these results?
With all the usual disclaimers that investors should consult with certified financial advisors before making any investment decisions, the outlook appears cautiously optimistic based on these FY25 numbers. The bank has demonstrated strong profit recovery, significantly improved asset quality, and maintained adequate capitalization. Their key challenges will be sustaining loan growth in a competitive environment, further improving the profitability of that retail segment, and managing potential risks from the ongoing AT1 bond litigation, however remote they feel the financial impact might be. They'll need to maintain focus on operational efficiency and risk management, but that unmodified audit opinion definitely provides a degree of comfort regarding the reported numbers for this year.
So to wrap up, Yes Bank's FY25 results show a marked improvement with strong PAT growth on both standalone and consolidated levels, driven by better income and significantly lower credit costs due to improved NPA ratios. Capital adequacy is comfortable, and the auditors have given a clean chit for the year. Key segments driving profit were treasury and corporate, while retail, despite being the largest, remains a drag on profitability for now. The AT1 bond litigation remains an external factor to watch.
Exactly. A year of significant recovery on the profit front and strengthening of the balance sheet, capped off with an unmodified audit opinion. Investors will likely be watching closely to see if this positive momentum can be sustained in FY26.
Thanks for that detailed analysis. Really helpful to break down both standalone and consolidated views and understand the drivers.
My pleasure.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time for another deep dive into the latest financial results.